this new committee, a subcommittee of the Treasury Board, will direct internal audit services to priority areas.
Here's the thing, though. Sitting on the committee will be only government ministers, and it will be chaired by Mr. Depp.
Hello.
Yo, JEX, let's party. Like it's 2019.
Yes! And it's a party we shall never forget. Let's do this.
Yeah, man.
Friday night, we're off to the races. Come and see familiar faces. Uncle Meat, Rob Daniels, Jon Snow. Gibby's here, it's the place to go. Grab a star of rock with Mike and the Bad Metal Man. Grab a star of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Keyboard's here, it's time for a party. And Chris has got the comment started. Grab a star of rock with Mike and the Bad Metal Man. Grab a star of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a star of rock. Grab a star of rock.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm having
Excellent.
difficulty seeing you clearly, though.
Yes, I seem to be blurry. I can fix that. But hey, Harrison, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing well, thank you.
Excellent. I am going to work on my visuals here while we introduce our guests for tonight. First up, we have, you already know him. You've seen him around. JEX Rambo, JEX Caliber. Oh, nice shirt, my friend.
I dressed up. I dressed
Yeah.
up. How you doing, gentlemen?
Most excellent, sir. And finally, last but certainly not least, for the first time ever, all the way from New Brunswick, Canada, we have PLA Pla.
Hey guys, how it going? Happy to be here. Very exciting. Looking forward to this, man.
You have the Pac-Man ghosts.
Yeah. If you haven't noticed, I am a gamer, and I do have gaming stuff. So,
What does that mean? That's Donkey Kong next to you?
yeah, it's Donkey Kong, and I put him a Pac-Man tie on him. So,
That is sweet. Oh
You
my God.
dressed
Okay,
up.
so
yeah, exactly.
I got to
Wow.
tell you right away that we're talking about doing a video game oriented show at some point in the future. So maybe we'll have to rope you into that.
Yeah, definitely hit me up. I would love that. Yeah, definitely.
Pla's your man. Pla's your man for video games.
Sweet. Well, before we get to know Pla a little bit, as you know, we always like to start the show with a little thing called Ask Harrison. So today's Ask Harrison comes from yours truly. Oh, hey, Harrison. How you doing? It's Mike from Grab a Stack of... It's Mike. I just wanted to know. It's autumn here in Canada, and you can see what it's like. It's a little dark, a little wet, a little cold. What's autumn like in Australia? Do you have autumn? Do you call it autumn? Do you call it something else, like wuzzle wazzle? Let us know. Take care, buddy.
Yes, we do call it autumn. I'm pretty sure everyone does except the Americans. But yeah, it's pretty much the same as what you described. You get a bit of a hangover from summer where it's still too hot for your liking, and then it just leads into winter.
Yep, that sounds like Canada.
Very
Well, welcome to the show, my friend. This is Harrison from Australia.
So I've heard. So the morning for you, isn't it? That's pretty pretty insane. Yeah. Wow, Saturday morning.
9 o'clock?
Yes, we would have started this show at 9 o'clock for me.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
I didn't
Well,
have to
as
wake
you
up
guys,
as early. It was nice.
As you guys all know, we are going to be talking some serious Van Halen tonight. We'll run the video in a bit, but I was kind of introduced to PLA by a video that was made in what was the year 2015 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you introduced him to the song "Get Up" by Van Halen for the first time, and your reaction is just priceless. So I'm just kind of curious, just PLA, when at your what age and what music was it for you when you first really realized that you loved music?
Oh man, definitely my teenage year. I guess when I started really getting into music is when I discovered Napster, like in 1998 or something like that, right? Like I was really into computers, and I started downloading. Like I was really young. I was like 1998. I was 9 years old, and I remember downloading some Rob Zombies on Napster. That was like one of the first songs I've ever downloaded. And until then, my dad was collecting Columbia CDs, right? Like you could subscribe to Columbia.
Yes.
And get a CD. They always get you right with these $1 deal at first, and then you have to like buy them. So in the basement he has like a super huge box of CDs stacked, and I used to go inside and get some of the music. I remember he had only one Van Halen album, I think, and it was 8081, I think it's called.
OU812. Unless it was 5150.
It's their sixth album, I believe, the one after Jump. So
that's 5150.
Okay, yeah, 5150. There you go. That's the one I was thinking of. That's the only album he had. I barely listened to it, but I remember grabbing it, grabbing some Pink Floyd, some Scorpion.
Like this?
Very nice. Very nice. That's the one. But yeah, until then, my love for music really went there, especially with 70s music, because that's, what my dad was into. So good times. Yeah.
It's really funny. I was just talking to a friend of mine, Ryan Gavalier, and I just unboxed his newest album, Night of the Living Dead, a few weeks ago. It's really interesting. He had a very similar story, is that it was through his dad. And it's funny because in this case, both dads are like of my generation of music, which is making me feel rather old, but that's on me. JEX, how did you meet this wild man?
Well, that goes back to 2009, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
He started working at the same video store that I worked at, Blockbuster Video, where I was a shift leader, supervisor, if you will. And this young man started working, and I remember our first shift like it was yesterday. It was May 2009, and I had to show him. We were putting previously viewed movies on the shelf. We had a list to follow. We had to take movies off the shelf, put more on the shelf, and I don't know. I just remember we just hit it off like immediately. We were just like talking about, what are you into? What do you like? And we quickly realized, hey, I got a lot in common with this guy. So
Nice.
You just got to snowball from there, and we started hanging out. I remember our first hangout.
Sorry, I just need to interrupt you for a second. We had a conversation this afternoon that you were going to kind of roast somebody if they made comments and stuff like that. Do you recall that? Yes. So somebody just left an angry icon on this video.
Our heckler.
You know who we're talking about here, right?
Yes, our heckler. Yes.
Our heckler.
Welcome.
Our heckle. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just noticed that now, and I just wanted to tell you because that's funny that we were just talking about that.
Welcome, heckler. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. Drop a comment. Sorry. Anyway, I apologize. The floor is yours.
What was that? Yes, our first hangout. Pla, I'm curious if you remember the very first time we hung out.
Oh yeah, definitely the hangout with our good friend Eric, wasn't it?
Well, see, that could be perceived as our first hangout, but there was one. We hung out in my car. It was like New Year's. It was around New Year's in 2010, either right before or right after New Year's. But anyway, we just drove. I was like, hey, you want to hang out after work or something? You're like, yeah. So we just drove, and you brought like some CDs with you, and you introduced me to "Walk On" by Boston.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Which I had never heard in my life. I only knew 70s Boston, More Than a Feeling, all that stuff, debut album. Yeah. And you asked me, hey, are you into Boston? I said, oh yeah, More Than Feeling, right? You're like, no, this is 90s Boston. Hey, Mike.
Thanks for tuning in, Mike.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. I remember it felt like a never-ending song because Walk On is like what, 11 minutes or something?
Yeah.
If you put it all together, all of the segments, and I was just blown away by the guitar, and that was our very first hangout. But and then we have the hangout that you're thinking about with our buddy Eric, where we went to the waterfalls and swam. It was like a whole day. Day. Then we went back to my place, and we listened to Poison.
That was the same day. Oh, I don't even.
Oh yeah. We spent the day at the waterfall and went back to my place because we're like, Red, we're having so much fun. Let's just chill out. Come on over. And I put on, open up and say on cassette, and we just talked, rocked out, and then we watched 2 movies: Sleepaway Camp, and do you remember the other one?
Yeah, Cat's Eye, of course.
Cat's Eye.
Who could not remember that hangout? Oh my gosh, it was such a this is where our bond just came, right? Like it's just crazy. We just clicks so well when we decided to hang out outside of work. And after that, the rest is pretty much history. But what brought our bond a lot more even after that is so I moved into Moncton, New Brunswick. And JEX also moved in Moncton, New Brunswick, and we didn't really have friends over there back then. So that's where we started really, really hanging out. Like every week, we just had a day just where we hung out, listen to music. You remember the Kick-Axe hangout, JEX, the Kick-Axe, and then I think we listened to The Fly, I Am the Fly, and then Jethro Tull and all this fun stuff. Yeah,
Mike. If you like the Van Halen reaction, I wish I would have videoed the reaction to Kick-Axe, Heavy Metal Shuffle. I was like, dude, you gotta listen to the song. And his face, it starts out like that scream, and then that da 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 da. You're just like
da 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 da. Pla, I had a buddy, Bob. His name was Bob, and he was kind of like my Pla. And we did the same thing. Like every Saturday, we there's a side story going on here between Roger and John. Anyway, we would do the same thing. We would hang, we would listen to music, and if there were cameras back then to catch our reactions, like I still remember certain bands that we saw on TV for the first time. There was a band called DAD. It stood for Disneyland After Dark, and for whatever reason, this band jumped out at Bob. And they had a weird bass player with 2 strings on his bass and a really tiny thin neck. And he had a white helmet that shot fireworks. So I was like, and we're sitting there in the basement, and I wish we had our reactions to these moments. But having said that, we do have a reaction on video here, and we're going to play it. And then we're going to get into some Van Halen talk. But JEX, maybe set up this video here. This is the very first time that Pla ever heard Get Up by Van Halen.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, I think I explained it in the intro of the video.
Yeah,
but
a bit.
I just bought the single. Like, I was never into Van Hagar era at this point in time. This is in 2015. I was all about David Lee Roth. Handful of songs from Hagar I heard. I'm like, nah. But I found this single, Why Can't This Be Love, with Get Up on the B-sides. Like, I'll give it a shot, So I bought it home. Yes, that's the one. That's the very one. Yes. So I brought it home. I listened to it. I'm like, all right, Why Can't This Be Love is all right. Then I flip it over to side B, Get Up. Like, what? This is amazing. I listened to it a few times, and the next time Pla was over, I'm like, I got to show you this, but I got to turn on the camera because you're going to freak out. And that's what you're about to see right now, 8 years later.
And by the way, yeah, that's $2 at Jerry's Records. I think that's in
Wow.
Pittsburgh.
That's pretty much what I paid.
I gotta get
That's
there.
pretty much what I
and
paid for it.
buy it. Nice.
All right, so this is PLA hearing Get Up for the very first time. Enjoy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? JEX Russell here with a special guest, Pla. How are you guys? Pla, my buddy PLA, fellow music lover.
Oh yeah,
And,
love music.
Straight to the point. I told him about this Van Halen single I've gotten. Get Up, it's called. Well, actually, the single is Why Can't This Be Love? But the B-side is called Get Up.
Okay.
They're from the 5150 album. And are you getting a text?
Probably. Ignore that.
So, well, it's just your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ignore
Each
that.
figure up, whatever.
So the B-side is called Get Up. Told him all about it. Like me, you're more of a David Lee Roth fan. You know, you're not so much a Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, I don't mind his stuff though. It's not bad, but you know.
Yeah.
But Van, like the original, is all. Yeah.
It's always the
You can't
best,
get any better.
Yeah, well, that's how I felt. So,
Yeah.
But I listened to this and I told you about it.
Yeah.
I wanted you to listen to it.
Like I guess it's so good that he wanted me to have a reaction or like to film it. So
I needed to get, because my reaction, I wish I would have cut that on video. So at least I can do is catch yours, because we usually share the same taste, especially when it comes to like
yeah, that's
fast
true.
music.
He
So
introduced herself to a lot of good music too.
oh yeah, he's introduced me to so much stuff.
Yeah.
So here we go.
All right.
Drop the needle. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Oh, Van Halen, of course.
Okay. Come over here, okay? Like Boston. Boston, yeah.
Whoa!
Holy moly, that's good. Man, this thing doesn't start crazy. Like,
Eddie Van Halen,
yeah.
one of the best guitarists.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. And so having you're showing me this, it's really good. It's sold, like, right? Yeah, I'm gonna use that at work for sure. Awesome. Yeah.
Another satisfied customer.
Yeah, there you go.
Peace out, guys.
That's pure joy. That is pure joy. Is that, you know?
Yo, life's too short. Life's too short. You gotta have fun.
I am just so glad that you captured that on video.
Oh, yeah. Something you gotta appreciate with JEX is that he catch a lot of stuff on video, right? So we have so many cool memories, you know, like captured, and it's something that I really appreciate out of him.
That's
Yeah,
good.
when I met Blanc, he was very camera shy, very reserved. But he knows if you're with me, you know, like the filmmaker wannabe, I'm like, no, you're gonna be on camera. And you know, I was respectful, but he was like understanding, and then finally it was like there's no camera at all after a while. He got so
Yeah.
used to it. And,
You notice in that reaction, I'm kind of like a little bit still camera shy, right? Like you
Right.
can see it a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty crazy.
yeah,
You
And I-
boys have
I-
come a long way since then.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. I saw the comment there. I think it was John saying Alex Van Halen going cuckoo on drums. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think that's what blew me away the most. It's the drums. Add the guitar to that. Yeah, there it is. It's like everything from the guitar, the drums, and then Sammy's voice. I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm all right with the Sammy Hagar era from now
That's
on.
what Martin Popoff would probably call an over-the-top Van Halen song, you know, and that's what it is. And I love the whammy bar stuff. Like I love what, like in your reaction to it when he started, and you know, that's not. Everybody thinks whammy bar, you know, it's a cheat, it's a gimmick, you know, whatever. What he did there was musical though, because he was hitting specific notes with his whammy bar, you know.
Yeah.
He wasn't just showing off. And we have Peter Kerr in the house, fellow Australian to Harrison. There we go.
Hey, Peter.
Thank you for joining. I want to talk about, though, the Best of All Worlds tour that was just announced about 3 days ago. And I also want to ask Harrison a question, too. But we have this tour coming up. Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony from Van Halen, and Joe Satriani on lead guitar, and Jason Bonham on drums. First of all, I wanted to ask Harrison how you feel. What? He just woke up. So I want to ask Harrison how you feel about this band going out on tour playing Van Halen songs without anybody named Van Halen in the band.
Why is my thoughts on this relevant?
I thought I would. Okay, so Harrison's passing the question down to JEX.
Man, I'm excited because you basically have 3/4 of this band.
Oh,
Right.
true. That's true.
It's everybody except for Chad Smith, right? It's Bonham.
He's kind of busy sometimes.
Yeah, he's touring with the Peppers. So I think it's cool. And the fact that they're inviting David Lee Roth and Alex Van Halen to be part of it, that's the part I'm like, oh, this is a dream come true. This is like the reunion we've been wanting. Like all the talent involved. It's yeah. I hope it happens. I hope it goes to plan. And yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Peter
I agree,
Peter
yeah.
is a hardliner. I am discovering as I grow to know him.
Nothing wrong with that.
To John's comment here, though, Jason Bonham is the drummer in the other band with Sammy and Mike, The Circle. So there's it's a combination of those two groups. The invite is hollow and smoke and mirrors. You're 100% right, Peter, because everybody knows they're both going to say no. Alex Van Halen has become a recluse, and we don't really know why. I would assume that he's grieving, and that's fine. Who else? David Lee Roth, obviously that's a joke. He's up there. They'll never speak, those two. Publicity, I agree. But you know who didn't get an invite? Wolfie. Wolfie didn't get an invite. And Wolfie was a member of Van Halen.
It's true.
Now Wolfie,
Yeah, but he took over bass. He took over bass duty
from Mike.
He had taken over for Anthony. So I don't know if there's like a probably not, but
I think Wolfie's probably a really easygoing guy, but he seems completely focused on Mammoth, which is fine. Absolutely, I like Mammoth. I want to get their new album. Jerry's is not far from where you live. Okay, that's where I got my Van Halen vinyl. And okay. Anyway, my feeling on this personally is I'm okay with it because Wolfie does not want to do this. And if he's not going to do it, somebody else has to, in my opinion. Everybody else is Pantera. You know, everybody else is doing it. Pantera, there's one original member in Pantera, and it's the bassist. Well, there's one original member in this, and it's the bassist. Well, arguably, he's not original because there's Mark Stone before him, but neither here nor there. I'm cool with it. The only thing that kind of irks me is using that V logo. I think that's kind of disingenuous. I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
on the V logo,
Yeah.
I mean, it's close, but it's different enough to not be a total ripoff. I don't know. You keep bringing it up. I think you're the only one who would.
Okay.
Who's bothered by it.
Maybe Vinnie Vincent just sitting at home going, "Hey guys, you ripped me off. Pay. I'm gonna sue."
Yeah, I've seen worse, right? Because if you think about Kiss, Tommy, I think, was the guitarist. Sometimes he would use Ace's makeup, right? Complete same makeup, and that would be really strange, I find. So I don't feel like it's as bad as that, So.
Okay, and I'm sure that's an opinion that will raise comments as well.
Yeah.
But what I have done here is, and I don't know if you guys have done any homework on this, but I have put together. We did a show, Peter and I, on Vinnie Vincent, and there's still some animosity.
I love that.
Oh boy!
Hell yeah!
Oh boy!
I like that. I like that a lot. Extreme 3.
Oh yeah,
that could be cool.
I'd be into that. I have gone to the liberty to put together what I thought I would like to hear these guys play live. And I kind of put it a little bit in order, but there's room for moving things around. I don't know if you guys did any homework on this or put together dream set lists, but here's what I, realistically speaking, want to hear on the Best of All Worlds tour. Keeping in mind it's all worlds, so each member will have something represented. Van Halen used to open the tour, 5150 tour, with Sammy's Only One Way to Rock. Great song. I would like to hear that opening just for old time's sake. On the Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour, they opened with Pound Cake. So I put Pound Cake second on my set list. Then I want to hear a ballad, and I want it to be Why Can't This Be Love? I realize it's rather early in the set for it, but why not? Dare I say why not? Hit them hard with the hits right off the bat. And then Cabo Wabo. Awesome tune. It's got a killer riff. I'd love to hear Satriani play that riff. I think it's one of those unsung Van Halen classics. Why wasn't this a single? Probably due to its length. It has a lengthy instrumental kind of bit. And then I thought we'd throw in the guitar solo at this point of the show. And I thought it'd be really cool if Joe Satriani played Satch Boogie and Eruption in one guitar solo. Whether it's sacrilege for Joe Satriani to attempt to play Eruption, that's up to the comments.
He could pull it off. He could pull it off.
He's one of 4 players in the world that could probably do it. The other 2 of the others being Steve Vai and Wolfgang Van Halen. And then I want to hear more Joe, so let's hear Big Bad Moon with Joe Satriani singing lead vocals. And just kind of waffling here. Joe Satriani was in Deep Purple. I wouldn't mind hearing Pictures of Home or Space Truckin'. Chickenfoot covered Space Truckin'. So
Joe Satriani was in Deep Purple? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Purple for one tour.
No way.
He never appeared on an album, but yes. So that's kind of like an out there wish. But then we go to Montrose. I want to hear Space Station number 5, and I want to hear Bad Motor Scooter. I don't think Van Halen ever played either of those 2 songs, but I'm sure that Sammy has played them in a number of his other bands. Then I thought after all that heavy stuff, let's hear a ballad. When It's Love. I want to hear Black and Blue. I want to hear I Can't Drive 55.
No.
Don't. What?
I just said,
Jason Bonham needs some representation, and they used to play rock and roll on the 5150 tour. So give Jason Bonham a drum solo, let him play Moby Dick and rock and roll. That's, again, reminiscent of that 5150 tour. Then we got a hit right now, Top of the World, and then some alternate tracks here at the end. You know, you got to shuffle in some tracks from show to show because you don't want to play the same set every night. You got to shuffle in stuff like Mine All Mine, 5150, Get Up, Best of Both Worlds. Someone Get Me a Doctor with Michael Anthony singing, and Good Enough from the 5150 opening track. And I want it to close with Jump, because they used to close their shows with Jump even in the Sammy days. And you got to play some Dave. So Jump and Someone Get Me a Doctor with Michael Anthony singing are basically the only 2 Dave songs that I realistically think they would play. That's just speculation on my part. And thank you, Peter, for your support.
That's that list. That's like a 5-hour concert, but I love it. Like,
well, there's some alternates in there, and there's some solos, some abbreviated version. I don't expect them to play the full version of like Smoke on the Water or Pictures of Home. It would be a part of like a medley with all the other stuff.
Yeah, no,
and I
for sure.
I think that's actually a good technique, is if they do have to do things like Moby Dick and what was the other Zeppelin tune? Rock and Roll. Do them as a medley, you know, in my opinion. I was talking to somebody on Facebook, and please forgive me, I can't remember who it was. And they suggested they play Bonham's song. Which it was one of Bonham's solo songs, you know, from the first at Bonham album. And I can't remember which song he suggested. But anyway, he suggested they throw in a Bonham song. And I'm pretty good with that too. But I think that's so obscure that they would never, ever do that, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a different vibe, isn't it?
Yes, it's a different vibe. Bonham was more, I don't know, almost progressive in a way. Like they had a bass player that also played violin, and they would do violin solos.
Yeah, it was melodic, from what I remember.
Oh shoot! There's a song I forgot. Heavy metal.
I was listening to that today. I was listening to Sammy Hagar's Unboxed.
Nice.
Nice. That's a good thing.
So bottom line, go around. Would you buy tickets, Harrison?
Sorry, I'm not expecting to be asked much today. Sorry for being flippant earlier.
No,
other question. I think the point is moot because I doubt they're ever coming here.
Okay, let's pretend.
Hypothetically.
We're pretending they're coming to your town, specific your town.
I don't know. It depends on a lot of things. I'll find out if they ever come.
Okay, so Harrison
And
is
I'll let you
obviously not going to the concert when Van Halen or the Best of All Worlds tour hits. So that's he's waffling there, but I think that's a no. JEX Caliber, what is your answer?
100,000% yes. You know my answer.
and you will probably end up going with him, right, Pla?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, just a road
man.
trip, having some fun. Yeah, if it goes in New Brunswick, for sure. Like, there's no, like, I would just buy them instantly. Like,
Yes.
you never get these type of bands around here. So it's
No,
You
when
could buy
Kiss came
10
here,
tickets.
like,
yeah.
You could buy 10 tickets and you will have 10 friends to go with. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. These type of band, when they come in, like Kiss back in 2013, they fill the Coliseum easily. Like, yeah.
And that's with 2 replacement members wearing the makeup of other original members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like Peter Kerr is staying home along with Harrison that day. Oh, God. All right. So does anybody want to say anything else about the tour?
Nope.
Mike doesn't know, but we are going together, says Roger. And I'm buying, apparently.
Oh,
Well, Roger, you were on the other side of Oshawa, or the other side of Toronto. You were in Oshawa, which is on the other side of Toronto. So it would take probably I don't know, that's like a full day's round trip. Oh my God.
well, as long as you're buying.
Yeah, I'm
As long as
flying
you're
in.
buying, Mike.
I have a feeling I'm driving too, is what I'm getting out of the message from Roger. And it is going to be a great tour. Sammy sounds great. Sammy is always sounding great. He's always looking great. He looks happy. Actually, I will say a couple of more things about this tour. Joe Satriani has come out and said some really kind of mind-blowing things, because when you think of Joe Satriani, you don't think of anything coming difficult to him. And he's talking about how difficult some of these Van
That was
Halen
cool.
guitar parts are.
Mhm.
And he mentioned Mean Streak, that that opening. Hang on, Chris P. It's all the tequila keeping him young. It's good for the body. And you know what? And living on the beach in Hawaii can't be bad for you either.
No. Apparently not.
So yeah, much respect to Joe Satriani. I truly do believe there's only a few guitar players that could do this. Wolfgang Van Halen being the first and foremost, because we've seen him do it at that Taylor Hawkins tribute concert. Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and I'm sure there's a few other players, but all of these guys, Satriani and Vai, they have their own sound, they have their own style, and it does not actually sound like Eddie Van Halen. It does sound like Joe Satriani playing those guitar parts, and they're not calling it Van Halen, so I'm cool with this. This is something I've wanted. I've wanted to see Joe Satriani play Eddie Van Halen guitar parts for a long time, man.
Oh, absolutely. Well, for me, what got me excited is that performance. Like, I saw the poster, I was like, all right, but it's that performance on Howard Stern, the one you're talking about where he played Mean Streak, and then they played 5150, and I was like, this sounds amazing. This sounds great. Like, the band is tight. Sign me up.
What I like about it is, even if they've been playing for 50 years old, you could see the energy. You could see like them having fun in the.
Yes.
So that's what I really, really like when I watch that.
Yes, and
great.
I don't want to get into the politics of Van Halen too much, but I think Michael Anthony is kind of the guy who got the short end of the stick in that band, and I want to see him getting up there, and I want to see him having fun playing those songs that he recorded, and singing those. Jax and I were talking about the Van Halen harmonies earlier, and we'll get into all of that stuff when we talk about our songs. But it'll be nice to hear Michael Anthony doing those Van Halen harmonies on those classic songs again. And Chris P is in the house. He's in the house with us.
Mike Anthony, he still has the voice. He still has the voice, like on that Howard Stern performance. Like, he's still belting out the backing vocals, and that's what I'm saying.
Well,
like, this is going to be good.
You yourself have good ears, because we were talking earlier today. You were listening to Van Halen 3, and you were saying to me, there's something wrong here. Like, I'm not hearing Michael's vocals on this album as much as I should. And I'm like, bingo, he's barely on that album. You have heard the truth.
Nice.
Yeah. I was late to the party, so today I've always avoided Van Halen 3, but I'm going to try it out. I love Extreme, Gary Cherone, and I like what I heard, but I was like, something's off. Something doesn't sound right. And lo and behold, that's when you told me there's no Michael Anthony backing vocals. Like,
That's right. All right, so if we are done talking about the tour, let's get down to these Van Halen lists. I suggested that we do the top 5 Van Halen bangers kind of meaning like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I inspired by you two guys in your reaction video to Get Up, because that is a banger. So if you guys are ready, shall we get down to some lists?
Yes.
All right, then shall we begin? This is a little feature that we call Cinco de Listo.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You got my fingers in a fishbowl. Cinco de Listo. The pentagram made of crystal. Cinco de Listo. Got my bones left in a pixel. Cinco de Listo. One bullet shy of a pistol. Cinco de Listo. Cinco de Listo. Cinco de Listo. Cinco de Listo.
Speaking of bangers, that's by T-Bone Erickson, does all the music for the show. Thank you, T-Bone. You were an awesome guy. Okay, let's start. Number 5. Harrison, what is your number 5 Van Halen banger?
Eruption. It's a fun little guitar solo. Works well as an intro to many things, not just Van Halen songs. I've used it on a mix CD before, and it's fun to listen to.
Awesome. Wow, Harrison, what a start. What a start.
I can't wait to see the other 4.
And it's like, how does JEX follow that? But
we might as well. All right, good night, folks. We're done here. Like, that's a great start. That's a good.
okay, so
Me?
you gotta
Alright.
follow that. I'm afraid you
Okay,
have to follow
before I do, I want to address. I noticed during the theme song, Chris was saying he was talking about humans beings.
that. Yes.
Humans being, I should say, and it's not on my list, but I will say I thought of it like maybe an hour before we started the show. I was thinking, oh, that's a good song. It's not on my list, but if I had to choose an honorable mention, humans being. Oh,
You're
Judgment
right,
Day.
and humans being has a different kind of banging to it. It's rather than
You're still you're still banging. All right, so I think my number 5 is a bit obvious, right? The cat's out of the bag. Everybody saw the video. I had to put it as my number 5. This is Get Up. I had to go with Get Up because again, everybody knows the story. That just hearing it, I'm like, oh. And this is actually the only Sammy Hagar on my list. Spoiler alert. Like I said, I'm more of a Roth guy, but that song, when I got that single, it just blew me away, and it's one of my favorite from the Van Hagar era. So that's my number 5.
and you have Chris Preston's support on Get Up.
Awesome, Chris.
If we have time a little bit later, I'm going to show off like 99% of my Van Halen collection.
Nice.
All right, Pla, this is it. This is
All
your
right. Just fair warning, my Van Halen knowledge is, it's about 50%. Like I know.
Fair warning. Fair warning.
Fair warning.
Yeah.
Fair warning.
About 51 to 50%.
Well, fair warning to you. First impressions are the ones that count.
So for 5, I was gonna put Jump in, but I was like, you know what? Jump is not headbanging at all. Like I really like the song, but it's not. So I decided.
It's more of a
Yeah,
body movie.
yeah,
It's body
like
moving.
little pop rock.
Yeah.
But so my 5th was Loss of Control from Women and Children First. Yeah. So the reason why it's number 5 is because I don't know it much. I don't know it by the top of my head, but I really enjoy it. Whenever I listen to the 3rd album, I'm like, I'm always looking forward to that one.
First of all, that's got to be one of the very fastest Van Halen songs, period. And second of all, I love that, like, murder, it's the plane going down, it sounds like. It's just freaking great. And Michael Anthony's hitting those. I'm not even going to attempt it, but the really high note that I'm talking about,
It really stands out, from that album, definitely.
Good. Oh my God. So everybody's kind of come in with a slammer. So it means that I probably have gone in complete wrong direction. I've done something a little bit different with my list. I'm going in reverse chronological order starting with A Different Kind of Truth and working my way to the first album as my number 1 song. Ooh. So my number 5 song is an amazing tune from the final Van Halen studio album, A Different Kind of Truth. Now, I was also talking about this with JEX earlier this week, and I told him that he needs to get this album.
Yeah.
It's like a full album full of Van Halen deep cuts with there's not really any bad songs on this album, but there's a tune called Chinatown, and it is a banger. And it opens up with this Mean Streak-ish guitar part, like, and then comes Alex with the fucking tempo, and it is a serious banger. And there's a couple of really good songs on this that I would say would make my Van Halen road tapes. The other ones being She's the Woman and Big River. But of those songs, Chinatown is the banger. I'm recommending everybody who may have missed this album or ignored this album or maybe doesn't even know that it exists. Check out A Different Kind of Truth, the final Van Halen studio album. It is better than you think it is.
I learned today it's not on Spotify. I looked for it, and it's one of the only it's one of the only Van Halen albums that's not there. I didn't see it. Maybe it's hiding.
Wolfie tweeted about this last week about that. Dave
really?
It's Dave. He's not allowing it for some reason. Wolfie says, I assume Dave doesn't like the album or something because he's the one who's the holdup.
Oh man.
Well, that's the reason I was listening to Van Halen 3. I wanted A Different Kind of Truth. It wasn't there. So I'll listen to the other album that I'm missing, which is Van Halen 3.
Then blame Dave. Okay, so let's get to some comments here. John Clauser. Somebody said, fair warning, Lord, strike that poor boy down. And Christy is right. Tattoo is the oddball on this album. It doesn't really fit. Great final album, Chinatown rocks. Thank you, Peter. The logical follow-up to 1984. In many ways it is, although I think an actual follow-up to 1984 would have had way more keyboards. This really doesn't have keyboards, except for a little bit on Tattoo. David Lee Roth does not like it. There you go. Yep,
Shame.
Dave doesn't like it supposedly, which is weird to me because I think Dave and Wolfie were kind of in the driver's seat on this album, is my understanding. Like, Dave spent a lot of time recording his vocals in a very specific way with none of the other members of the band anywhere near him, so he could have his own way. You know what, Dave? There we go. On to Harrison. Number 4, please, sir.
All right, so my number 4 is their live cover of Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll.
Wow. Interesting choice.
Deep cut.
Very cool.
From the Live Without a Net DVD.
Which was on my dream set list. Good call. And this is another one I was listening to. Well, I'll show you guys what I was listening to. It's a bootleg.
Harrison, I like that T-shirt, by the way.
Oh, I love the Mothership cover art. It's some of my favorite cover art of all time.
No,
This is a fairly common 2-CD set, but it has a lot of the stuff from that DVD that he's talking about.
Oh.
Is that official?
No.
Okay, I was going to say I've never seen that before.
I mean, the DVD is official. But
The DVD is official. This
this
CD
isn't.
that I'm holding is not. But anyway, yeah. Rock and Roll is not on this, but when I first heard that, when I was, gosh, what year did that air on Much Music? Would have been 88. So I would have been 15. And I didn't know Led Zeppelin from A Hole in the Wall. And I had never heard that song before. And I assumed it was called Lonely Time because Sammy just kept on singing. He was having a lonely, 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 lonely time. So I'm like, okay, so this song is called Lonely Time. And I didn't know it was a cover. So I assumed it was either an old Van Halen song that I hadn't been aware of or a Sammy Hagar solo song that I hadn't been aware of. But yeah, good pick, Harrison. Excellent choice. And we have Henry Wright in the house. Thank you for joining us, Henry.
Hey, Henry.
Henry was recently, I'm not going to say he was in one of my videos, but he was binging me on my phone while I was unboxing my Whitesnake Purple album. And the irony of it is that he was binging me with pictures of Glenn Hughes in concert, who was in Deep Purple. So there you go. Henry kind of made a cameo in that video.
He's a psychic.
All right, JEX Caliber, number 4.
All right. Well, let me just say that PLA, great minds think alike. This song is
Oh, yeah.
for loss of control.
Yeah.
Loss of control. Loss of control. Loss of control.
I bet we're
Man,
gonna have a lot of similar songs. Yeah.
I think so, man. I was gonna because for me it's a 2-for-1. You got to listen to Tora 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 or Tora Tora rather, which transitions right into Loss of Control. Like those two songs together, I remember the first time I heard it because I think on the cassette, I believe it starts out side 2, and I was the first time I heard it was on cassette. I was like,
Yes,
"This
you're
is
right.
so fast! This is amazing!" Like, so obviously it's gonna make my list.
So sorry, JEX. It doesn't start side 2 on the vinyl. I've never had it on vinyl.
Well, hold on. The tracks seem to be out of order on the.
Oh, that was a thing. That was a thing that a
really?
lot of bands did. A lot of bands did that back in the day.
Tora Tora is the first thing listed, and then Loss of Control is the third from the. Hold on.
The heck?
Check this out. Okay, 5150. Look, sorry, OU812. Look, the songs are in alphabetical order. I don't know. You can't really see it. They're in alphabetical order on the back. That's not the running order on the album. That's alphabetical order on the back of this.
Yeah, that's
Oh my
OCD triggered. But
But a lot
yes,
of bands did that. Like I remember my buddy George, who lived next door, had old Kiss albums, and the song list was on the back, but it wasn't the running order.
yeah.
Shame.
But no, to answer your question, it starts side 2 on the vinyl. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna spoiler alert. That was a runner up for me, man. I had a hard time narrowing it down to 5.
Stay tuned.
So we only have 1 repeat so far, but we could have more. Interesting repeat too. That's a deep cut.
Right?
And-
I was surprised when Blau put it as the number 5. Like, no way.
Nice.
I'm gonna address this comment shortly, but before we do that, we will go to Pla with your number 4.
All right, sounds good. So, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I only knew 2 Van Halen songs. I knew the popular one, of course.
Jump.
You Really Got Me.
Oh.
You Really Got Me.
Okay.
And Jamie's Crying. That's the only 2 songs I knew.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, my one of my best friends called Paul Jones, not to be confused with John Paul Jones, but he randomly went in high school and he just started ripping his guitar, and I was like, what the heck is that? He's like, oh, it's Eruption from the album Van Halen. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And this was like my first time ever that was like in love with Van Halen. I started listening to his first album and was really into it. So yeah, of course, my fourth song would be Eruption, because
Brilliant.
it's just he just shred this guitar right before going into their one of their most popular songs out there. So hats off to him for doing that. And what I like on our local radio station in Moncton, New Brunswick, they always start with Eruption before starting with You Really Got Me, and I really like that they're doing that.
The way it should be.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A guitar scholar could tell you everything about that solo that's brilliant, from technique to composition. But, he's playing classical runs, and I think you could probably hear that when there's that one middle section. Very, very much classical. And then he's doing he's doing tapping, and he's using the whammy bar. He's basically, he basically threw every trick in the book that he had at his disposal at that time in his career, which is very early in his career.
Mike, how old was he when he created
Gosh.
that song? Do you know?
I don't know. I would assume his early 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
And of course, he did add more techniques and more tricks in the bag to his bag of tricks later on. But one of them is on Chris P's number 4 song, which is also my number 4 song, Pound Cake. Cheesy only lyrically. Only lyrically is it cheesy. Musically, it is heavy as a 10-ton heavy thing. It is a very special song to me. I do remember the 1991 MTV Awards, but for me, this was my last year of high school. I was leaving high school. I was weeks away from graduation, and you're embarking on that new adventure in your life. You're saying goodbye to your old friends, and I just wanted to have a really kick-ass summer with some great music. And all of a sudden, this music video dropped on Much Music one day in late May or early June of 1991. And it was the heaviest thing that, to me, I'd heard out of Van Halen. A lot of that is the production, the drums. This is one of the best drum sounds Van Halen has ever had. And a lot of that is part of what makes Pound Cake so great. But what I was saying earlier about technique is Eddie Van Halen decided to use an electric drill for the first time.
Electric drill, wow.
And what he does is he takes the electric drill and he kind of runs it near the pickups.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
pickups. Yeah, they pick up the electrical signal, I guess.
Another band did that in '91. Remember who?
Differently. What he did is he took a drill bit and glued 4 guitar picks to it and then played the guitar with the drill like that against the strings. So it enabled him to play the strings incredibly fast. And Billy Sheehan did the same thing on his bass, and they're doing the same thing in tandem. We're talking about Mr. Big on the song Lover, Brother, Mother, Little Boy, the electric drill song, whatever the hell it's called.
I always forget,
Yeah. And somebody, Henry just mentioned Oh Pretty Woman. And so just bear with me a second. I'm sure I have it here in my pile of singles.
The album. There it is.
There it is. Diver Down. There it is. Although there's no O. It's just Pretty Woman right there.
Someone scribbled the song on my. I just noticed.
Oh,
what the heck? Yeah, disrespect.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
Incidentally, this was supposed to be a standalone single, and then they ended up doing more covers and a few originals and making the album. That album was the soundtrack of my summer of '91. It was my birthday gift in the summer of '91. And thank you, Chris. And we're going to get to Fair Warning, but that's a hell of an introduction, my friend. Daddy, Brother, Lover, Little Boy is the name of the Mr. Big song, the electric.
I always forget the order it comes in.
Yeah, and I threw Mother in there as well. Anyway, that's my number 4. And okay, so let's recap here. We've had 2 repeats now: Eruption and Loss of Control. Okay, I'm going to be relying on you guys to keep track of these important statistics.
Oh boy.
And Chris P. we will definitely get to Fair Warning. Okay, Harrison, we're up to you with your number 3.
Alrighty, I'm probably about to get disqualified here because I'm picking Chickenfoot's live cover of Highway Star. It's an amazing cover. You may or may not be starting to guess that I had a very hard time trying to find 5 songs for a list. So it's a
Harrison
great
is
cover.
not the Van Halen fan that we are. He is participating because he wanted to be here tonight.
I'm contractually obligated to be here. My name is in the theme song.
Okay, so Harrison, just so you know here, Chris P is disqualifying you, and I've never ever really seriously disqualified anybody before on the show, but I would say that this is a clear out of bounds.
It's got half of Van Halen in it.
It's not Van Halen. To say Chickenfoot is Van Halen is out of bounds, is all I'm going to say. So we've never done this before. Harrison, that's a strike.
It could only be me.
Oh boy.
It could only be you. I'm glad it's you. I'd be disappointed if
I'm honored to be
else.
the first disqualification. Anyway,
you know
it's
what?
a great cover.
If this ever happens again, I'm gonna have to get T-Bone to make like a little clip that's like disqualified.
Oh, dude, do like the X like on Family Feud.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had that. And
It's like
yeah, you know what? I just like picking Eminem.
Oh my
That's
God.
from
Anyway.
a couple of weeks ago. Peter was the very first person to ever put Eminem on a list on my show.
Impressive.
I'll quickly finish up and say that it's a great cover, and Satriani sounds amazing playing both the guitar and the keyboard solo.
And remind us, please, where you can purchase that track.
Mike, I'd like to ask a friend.
It's the it's that Deep Purple album. Sorry, the Machine.
Oh
Head
yeah,
tribute.
that's right.
Remachined,
Hmm.
which also features Iron Maiden doing space trucking.
I think you can also get it on as a Chickenfoot album. As like
It's a bonus track on something or other on a single, and it might be on that Chickenfoot 4 or Chickenfoot Live, whatever it's called. Yeah, I don't have a complete Chickenfoot collection. I am missing the live album, but I do have Highway Star, and Ha.
You know what I love the most is that Harrison was like, "I'm here because I have to. Like, I don't want to hang out with you guys."
I was hoping he was going to say something like, "I'm here because I wanted to hang out with JEX and PLA," but no, it's like I'm contractually obligated.
That's where I
You know
thought it was
what?
going.
I
The
wonder-
nerve.
I wonder how much of this has to do with Jonathan Lee's comment yesterday that his favorite cast member on the show was the long-haired sullen guy.
Next song on the list for Harrison will be "Paranoid" by Black Sabbath because they like they like Van Halen. So yeah,
Oh my, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, Van Halen opens for Sabbath, so that counts.
there you go.
Well, Jex, I'm afraid the pressure's on you because here's
We're
third
losing
thing.
crowd, right? We're losing
Here's another thing. As I told Harrison earlier today, I was really excited for the show, and I'm really looking forward to whatever train wrecks I cause. Little did I know, it would be my partner in crime, the stoic, sturdy rock of the show, he is the rock of Grab a Stack of Rock. He is the one that holds it all together.
At work, I've got this, the Easter Island statues.
Yes,
I've got like a little one of those at my desk because that's like me. That's a classic.
Singer from Rush.
If you don't know the story, yeah. Anyway, thank you, Harrison, my stoic companion. Jackson, it is up to you to right the ship, or we are going down like the Titanic.
How do I follow that? Okay. Let's see. Let's bring it up. Nice. All right. So let me just start by saying that I think we could all agree that the self-titled album, the debut is among the classics, right? Like, this is a perfect album. I mean, most of side one still gets regular airplay on the radio, but I'm going to go with a little track on side two called Atomic Punk for my number 3. Because exactly that. I don't even know how he does that.
I think it's a combination of pick scraping and wah-wah pedal, but again, the guitar players in the crowd would know.
Oh, but the effect is just amazing, and just the song, like the guitar playing in that song, it's great. I had to put it on my list. So that's all I have to say about it. Atomic Punk, an absolute fantastic song from an absolutely fantastic debut.
I want to tell you guys a funny story because you guys we've seen this album 3 times. When I was in high school, this would have been grade 11. I would have been 17. And I ordered that tape from what Paul mentioned earlier, the Columbia House Record Club, right? I ordered Van Halen 1 because, like Jack said, I basically knew every song on it, right? And there was this kid at school, Jamie, and he says, "Can I borrow that? I'll tape it and bring it back the next day." So I don't like lending out my stuff, but I'm desperate to have actual friends. So I loaned him the tape, and he didn't bring it back.
His name was Jamie?
His name was Jamie. He wasn't crying.
Okay, that was my question.
Sorry. So anyway, he didn't return it the next day. Oh, I forgot it at home. And I'm like getting anxious. I want my Van Halen tape back. He brought it back the day after that without the outer sleeve, the J card. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Oh, I don't know what happened to it. He returned that about a week later, and I'm just like, I am never loaning out a cassette again. And my buddy Scott Peddle, he wanted to tape my my copy of Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Refused to loan it to him. I made him give me a blank tape, and I recorded it. He's like, but I have like a high quality stereo in my living room. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not loaning you Appetite for Destruction.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we have a shout out here to Geddy Lee's new book, My Effin' Life, and I'm hoping that I get that too, Mike. John Clauser, we're gonna come back to this, and yes, me too, Mike. My Christmas list is growing. Okay, so PLA, your number 3.
All right, so the first album is a banger, and they made 2 other albums after that, and then with 1984, they introduced a lot of synth, and went a lot more slower, I find. But there's one song on that album that I feel like they came back to their roots and made a really good banger, and that's "Hot for Teachers," because that one it just feels like they're coming back to like what they used to do, I don't know. That's really, really a good one. You know what? What's funny about this? When JEX asked me for the top 5, I was like, okay, I got to put Hard for Teachers. That's on the first album. I'm gonna, it's great. And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. It's not even on the first album. It's on their fourth one. Like I completely forgot about that.
Nope.
So
Actually, it's 6.
Yeah,
6?
that's right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That's
You're forgetting Fair Warning and Diver Down.
Diver Down. Yeah. You're right. Okay. But, yeah.
I have a little bit of bad news for Chris here, though. That was just the sleeve. When my buddy Craig picked up that lot of Van Halen records at Jerry's Records in Pittsburgh, the guy just threw in that sleeve for free because the 45 was missing. So it's just the sleeve. If I find a copy without the sleeve, though, then I've got the full set. Yeah. Where's my pencil?
That's fine. Hope you missed us. We're back. I brought my pencil.
You want to know what pissed me off? Is that guys like Chris Sarr at my school would call me Waldo.
Because of the video?
Yeah. Anyway. That's excellent. Now, my number 3, this album has been discussed. It's come up a couple of times, but this was actually, for whatever reason, the hardest Van Halen album to find when I was a teenager. You could go to the store, you could find Van Halen 1, 2, Women and Children First, Diver Down, 1984, and all of the Sammy albums easily, anywhere. This one, no. I found this, not this exact copy, I replaced it later with this Van Halen remaster, but the original boring, I guess, version of Fair Warning, I bought at a store called Dutch Boy in 1990. Dutch Boy was that's the one I had. It was like not a convenience store. It was like a general store. It had groceries, it had clothing, it had toys, it had a stereo section, it had a section for electronics and video games. I don't know if there's any equivalent to that out east, but in Ontario we had Dutch Boy, and they actually had a really good music section. And I remember I had a couple of things I could have bought that day, and this was like, I've never seen it before. I should probably get it. And I'd heard about it, and I knew 2 of the songs. I knew Unchained, and I knew So This Is Love, because Much Music ran live videos of those 2 songs. But this was my first time hearing the studio versions. And this is probably my favorite Van Halen album of all time, tied with 1984.
I agree. Yeah.
But Unchained is my banger. One break coming up. It is a banger. How else can you describe it? It is heavy. It is fast. It's got some great playing. It's got some brilliant lyrics. It's one of the most energetic Van Halen tracks of all time. And it kind of lets you slow down and take a breather in the middle when the guitar kind of slows down. And come on, Dave, give me a break. Gives you a chance to breathe, and then dun, 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 starts all over again. Unchained, my number 3. Which brings us into the top 2. And I need to take a quick break for a moment. So what I want to do is just run a quick video here so that I can take a quick break. I just got to check on my wife. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Sorry for the shameless plug. We're going to run an ad for TeePublic t-shirts. And we'll be back in 1 minute and 45 seconds. Good day. It's Mike from Grab a Stack of Rock. And yes, today we're flogging the shirts again from teepublic.com. We've got brand new Grab a Stack of Rock and Tim's Vinyl Confession shirts in this bag. You can also get Visions and Sound and Too Loud, Too Old Music shirts at teepublic.com. But TeePublic just introduced their new tie-dye shirt, and I can't wait to see what that looks like. But I'm going to make you wait a minute. Jen ordered one of these for herself. Good taste. That's a nice shirt. And here is the brand new tie-dye from teepublic.com. That looks sweet. Let's see what it looks like on me. Oh, does it ever look awesome? The Grab a Stack of Rock logo looks great on tie-dye. Let's see what the TVC shirt looks like. Here is the TVC MTV homage logo. This is done by Matt Phillips. Really good looking shirt right there. Grab a stack of Rock Tim's Vinyl Confessions. TooLoudTooOldMusic.com. Yeah, who wouldn't want their own John T. Snow TooLoudTooOldMusic.com t-shirt? I got a couple, and I gotta get me one of these sweet Robert Daniels Visions in Sound shirts from tpublic.com. Well, look at that. There's another one that Jen must have ordered. There we go. The sleeveless. We're going to call this design the JEX Russell. You can get them all at tpublic.com. Thanks. Just a little bit of background. My wife, Jen, she had a seizure earlier tonight, so just had to make sure she's okay.
Everything good?
Everything's good. I'll tell you about it later. For those curious, we did an episode on epilepsy back in the LaPraine Train days. Look it up under Adventures in Epilepsy is what I titled that episode. Okay, where did we leave off? My number 3. So we're heading into number 2. Harrison's number 2. And Harrison, you're on probation.
Don't worry. This song was always going to make someone's list because it's Get Up. It's a thunderous track. Halen was the one that introduced me to that song.
Oh, interesting. So I'll just show my single one more time, I guess. There it is. It's the B-side to Why Can't This Be Love from the 5150 album. And yeah, it's out there, isn't it? It's really out there. Chris Preston has On Fire from the debut album as his number 2. And John Clauser is on his side. And from the Fair Warning album, Sunday Afternoon in the Park, which is the less than 2-minute long closer after, what is that instrumental bit called?
No,
Sunday Afternoon in the Park is the synthesizer bit, and then One Foot Out the Door is the banger. Yeah, that's how it goes. Okay. JEX Russell, number 2.
I just want to address Sunday Afternoon in the Park is actually, I have a top 10 that I actually published on my blog before, and I kind of condensed it to make this top 5. Like, I didn't take the top 5 from that list. I actually picked like 5 bangers.
Okay.
But Sunday Afternoon in the Park is on my top 10 because it is a great song.
Wait, did you post? Did I miss this? I didn't see this post.
I posted it on the anniversary of his death, October 6th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a little while now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, number 2. All right. I too am going to go to their 6th album. Right? What can it be? So many to choose from. Is it going to be Hot for Teacher? Or is it going to be Panama? I'm going with the closer on this one. House of Pain. House of Pain. Down. Man,
yeah.
One of their earliest songs. It predates the first album.
Really?
It makes sense. It makes sense. I don't know. It has like a rawness to it. It's like, I don't know. There's something. It doesn't sound like the rest of the album. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But I remember the first time hearing this, I was like,
well, that's
whoa.
why, because it's from 1977 or 1976.
And it's perfect. Like I wish they would have whipped out more stuff like that. So yeah, House of Pain, my number 2.
So that was on, I think Peter Kerr dropped House of Pain's name earlier in the night.
I saw somebody, and it's so hard for me not to be like, oh, stay tuned.
And Chris is surprised Panama hasn't made a list yet. Well, I'll tell you that Jex and I both agreed to only do 1 track per album. That was just a personal rule of thumb that was just between Jex and I.
Oh, okay.
That was not a rule of thumb for anyone else, especially Chicken Foot Guy. Anyway, it's so hard, Chris. It's so hard. Like, Pla picked Hot for Teacher. And, you know, in terms of tempo, in terms of adrenaline, oh, man, this is a hard choice. It's like choosing a favorite child in a way. Okay, so number 2 for Pla.
All right. Before I continue, I'm surprised. There's a song I'm surprised Jex didn't mention yet. So I think I'm going to know what his first one is. I'm just going to say that. But anyway, this one time, I can't remember the year, but this one time Jex made me a mixed CD. And it was only rock and roll music. I wanted to bring it up. I got it upstairs, but I forgot to bring it. But it has like some really, really good music. I remember it. can't remember because he made me 2 big CDs. He made me one for the punk rock, and he made me one for just rock and roll. And
Yeah.
I remember he had some pretty amazing sons.
I can't
And
remember what.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
So, and one of them was my first time I heard it, and it was DOA from the second album. It's so good. It's so good. So this song, I had to put it in my list. Like very high on my list because it's a banger for me.
It's on my top. It's on my top 10. It's on my top 10, but I had to take it off. But yeah, that's a great
Really,
song.
so that's the one I thought you were gonna be in your list. So I'm surprised it wasn't. Yeah.
Almost, but it had to get cut.
Interesting.
I love it. That actually, what I love about DOA is I once read a story in a magazine that Sebastian Bach was inspired by DOA to write "Slave to the Grind." He said he was listening to DOA. He was high on coke.
Okay.
And he wanted to make like a fast like DOA. So if you listen to "Slave to the Grind," I can hear it. You know, it's like like I'm like it makes sense. It makes sense.
I get what you're saying. Wouldn't occur to me though.
So the first time I heard "Slave to the Grind," I asked the guy that one of my coworkers sitting next to me, "Is this Dystopia era Megadeth?"
What? Come on.
Really? Sebastian Bach?
Yeah.
And Dave Mustaine? Harrison, not 2 strikes in one night. Can't have 2 strikes in one night.
I couldn't help myself. But it's only 3 and you're out. And
yeah, that's true.
My number 1 pick might get me struck out. We'll see.
Okay. First of all, great choice on DOA. I played every Van Halen album in order this week, and that was a standout track. It's a banger.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 2 has come up in the comments already. It is from this album right here. And it is a track that has, I think, 2 exclamation marks in the song. Not on the cassette version, but on the CD version, I bet you it does.
I think I know.
Yeah. It's supposed to have 2 exclamation points at the end of the phrase, "Everybody wants some."
Oh, yeah.
And the same guy at school, Jamie, said to me, "You got to hear this song, Everybody Wants Some." And he loaned me the tape this time, but I returned it the next day intact.
Good on you.
But he described it as jungle drums, right? And you know the part I'm talking about at the beginning when it's dunk, 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 and then Dave's like, and then the guitar. Now it doesn't really. It's not a banger the whole way through, but those choruses are. And everybody wants some. I want some too. You know?
Yeah.
Like he has hit it. He is just shrieking through most of that song. And I don't know if you guys have ever read David Lee Roth's book, Crazy from the Heat. It's really irritating and fun to read at the same time. But he talks about this song and how he wrote the lyrics. And there's a line in it. Seen a lot of people just looking for a moonbeam. It doesn't really mean a lot of stuff, but you can imagine it means like, you're hanging on to a wish, or you're reaching for the brass ring. But he sings it in a kind of like a slurred. He describes it in the book as "Sheba laba peepa daba looking for a moo-bee."
Yeah. I never knew what he was saying until this very moment. I could never understand.
Well, that's all intentional for him to go "Sheba laba peepa daba looking." That's all intentional. That's him trying to be like a jazz singer, like from the,
Oh, he's what do you call it? Scat.
The scat man.
Yeah. Hang on a second. First time I heard "Everybody Wants Some," Better Off Dead.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. If anybody's, that was my first time hearing "Everybody Wants Some" was on Better Off Dead. And if nobody's seen that scene, check it out. It is amazing. It's claymation. It's stop animation done excellently. If you want to see a dancing singing cheeseburger playing a Van Halen guitar, check out that clip from Better Off Dead. It's got to be on YouTube. It's got to be.
Well, Chris P loves that movie.
Me too, Chris.
There you go.
High five.
So back to Mike's comment here. Harrison gets a pass because of that awesome shirt. Excellent.
There you go.
Mike is correct. Harrison gets a pass. But it is now up to Harrison. Sorry, I've got a mountain of CDs and cassettes here, and they've just tumbled. Don't you love that sound of like CDs and cassettes?
You know you're a true collector when that happens.
Yes. Harrison, it is up to you now. This is number one. You've got me scared from your earlier comment where you say you might get disqualified again. Just let us have it. What's your number one?
All right, so it's a live version of a song again, but in reality, it's more of a live version. So from Right Here, Right Now, it's Ain't Talking About Love.
Ah, very nice.
Okay. I might as well take this opportunity to show you the record. There it is. Quadruple vinyl.
Oh, I think did I give that to you, Jex? Is that the one I give? Yeah.
I have it somewhere here. Yeah.
Nice.
So what Harrison was referring to when he what did you say? What was your exact phrase?
Live.
Right. Sammy Hagar came out in his book and said half of this album, more than half of this album is re-recorded in the studio. Incidentally, I got a troll on YouTube 2 days ago. I did an unboxing video on this excellent record. And in the unboxing video, I addressed what Harrison just mentioned. And I said it was one of my pet peeves with the record is that, a lot of this was touched up in the studio. And I think some of that is audible. I mean, you'd have to be a forensic listener to be able to identify all these overdubs, but I think you can hear some of it. Anyway, I mentioned this in my unboxing video, and some troll comes on and goes, "Don't you know there's no such thing as a live album? All live albums have overdubs, and just goes to show how much smart guy," or something along those lines, right? And to that troll, I would like to show you a different Van Halen live album. Show me the overdubs on this one, pal. Show me the overdubs on this one, pal. And there's another artist by the name of Henry Rollins, and he released a live album called The Only Way to Know for Sure. And the reason it's called that is because of the saying, the only way to know for sure if a band's any good is to see them live. Well, his live album is 100% without overdubs, and that's why he calls it The Only Way to Know for Sure. So rant over. Harrison, I applaud you. That is a fine pick. I love that version, frankly. When I got that live album in the spring of 1993, I was studying for final exams that year, driving to school, playing that track, and also Cabo Wabo. But I think they're all kind of in a mess of, they kind of like run together, I think, a lot of those songs on that album. But excellent. You were redeemed.
Well,
strike removed.
Until you realize that my list does not feature David Lee Roth at all in any way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's because you cheated. But okay.
I find the man's buffoonery unbearable.
Wow, that's. You know what though?
Here come the comments.
There's a lot of Sammy Hagar oriented fans who agree with Harrison. And that's a valid point of view. We can't forget that Sammy Hagar did have his own audience before he joined Van Halen from his days in Montrose and as a solo artist. And, he did an album with Neil Schon, Through the Fire, I think it's called, a year or two before Van Halen. There's a lot of Van Halen fans who are only Sammy Hagar fans. And likewise, there's a lot of Van Halen fans that are only David Lee Roth fans. I know people in both camps.
I met JEX when he wasn't a fan of Sammy Hagar. I remember very well that Sammy Hagar, like he was, don't talk about him, he's not Van Halen. But yeah, like as the years grew and he started liking a lot more, it was nice, experiencing this change with JEX throughout that.
Yeah. And it's all because of Get Up. It's all that one time that I'm like, hey, I'll give him a chance. And next thing you know, I'm getting all of the Hagar era albums. But yeah, for a while, I was like David Lee Roth or nothing.
Yeah, that's like my buddy Craig. He was David Lee Roth or nothing. So Chris P's got Unchained. Brilliant track. I'm the One. Again, back to that first album.
Oh.
There is a great cover of I'm the One. I believe it's on the Airheads soundtrack, and it's done by Four Non Blondes.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to hear a great cover of "I'm the One,"
I don't think I knew that.
very good. Very
Now, Henry is kind of with Harrison on the Dave thing, but I like how he says, I even own David Lee Roth solo albums. I own every single David Lee Roth solo album, even the really terrible one, Diamond Dave. It is unlistenable. Unlistenable.
I've heard about it. I've never heard it, but I've heard it's pretty terrible.
It's unlistenable. I get what Harrison is saying. DLR can cross the cheese line on occasion.
That's
I
another
like
thing.
Priest
Yeah.
and Sabaton, and they're both cheesy. But
It's thanks to this show I'm getting more into the Sammy Hagar albums. Ah, thank you, thank you, Henry. Thank you, Henry. And we have every side of the spectrum here tonight.
have you
Okay.
heard that live album, Peter?
You're talking about Tokyo Dome, yes.
Yes.
Okay, JEX, this is it. This is your last chance.
Okay. Gonna go out on a real banger here. I'm gonna set the stage a little bit. Tell a story. Let's go back 20 years. 2003 fall.
When JEX was
I'm in
only 35.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I'm in university, here in Moncton, and I'm coming back from the cafeteria one night and go back to my dorm. And as I'm going up the stairs to my floor, I'm hearing rock and roll. There's like loud rock and roll coming from my floor. Good rock and roll. So I get to my floor, and it's my neighbor across the hall, a guy named Jacques, who I've known from childhood. Him and his cousin, Marc Andre, are standing outside of Jacques' dorm, and music blasting. And I'm like, because he was a record collector before, like this is about a year before I started buying vinyl. He had a little vinyl collection. So that was like an early glimpse for me. And he's playing this rock and roll. I'm like, Jacques, what is this? And he goes, this, my friend, is Van Halen. And the song in question, Chris Preston, pay attention. You've already called it Unchained.
Nice.
Unchained. Imagine this blasting on a floor of a dorm, a university dorm. It's da, 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 da. And it was loud. Like the manager of the floor, like every floor of the dorm had like someone in charge. He bolted out of his room, be like, Jacques, turn it down. It was crazy, and I love the song ever since. Like, it was a great introduction, and everything about it, like one break coming up, and everything you named, Mike. You took the words out of my mouth. So this was my number one from the beginning, no doubt.
Well, were alcoholic beverages flowing at this dorm?
No, not even. It wasn't like it was just a normal weekday evening. It was like after supper. Like no one was partying. It was just they just happened to be blasted. Well, were they drinking? I don't know. I maybe they were drinking, but it was yeah.
You ever see that video of David Lee Roth staying in the hotel, and there's a hotel room, they're blasting Van Halen, and he goes and knocks on their door? You ever seen that video?
No.
What?
Well, they're playing Van Halen in this hotel room, these young guys, and Roth is like, he's always got a camera crew with him. Who knows? Maybe it was set up, but anyway, he's like, "Hey, let's go check out these Van Halen fans in this hotel room." Knock, 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 and the guy answers the door, and there's Roth, and he's like, "Hey guys, you guys are Van Halen fans. I'm David Lee Roth," and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm from Van Halen, the band that you're listening to right now." And they literally had no idea who the fuck he was.
So funny.
Awkward, yeah. But it was a funny video. Just imagine you're playing Van Halen and Roth knocks on your door. You're like, if it was us,
we'd be like screaming.
Come on in.
Our lungs out. Yeah. Have a beer.
Yeah. Hang on, I just got a call about 18 of my friends.
Yeah.
Okay, plot number one.
So my number one might be a little weird. I don't know. So guys, give me your opinion if you think that this is a banger. I'm really curious if you think it is. It's one of my favorite songs from Van Halen, and it is from Fair Warning, of course. I bought this album on vinyl. I never heard about the I thought, it's a later Van Halen album, later, like it's the fourth album or something like that. And I was like, they probably lost their touch. It's probably not as good. And then I turn it on, and Mean Street turns on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking good, you know? So, like I said, I want to know your opinion. Do you guys think it's a banger? But this is the riff that it's doing. It's really up my alley, and I really enjoy it. You know, like
It is. It's a different kind of
amazing.
banger because it's a more one of these kind of bangers,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But it is a banger. Like you are,
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
and you
I
are
bang
right.
my
That
head.
riff, that.
It's so
well,
good.
the way it opens, like, like
Oh yeah,
And then
that's
Alex with
that's,
the
yeah.
dugga, you know.
It's
Yeah.
such a good intro song, you know. It really sold me for their whole album, you know.
Check that out. Mean Street is just a more mellow banger.
There you go. I kind
Let
of
it
agree.
count.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Maybe they thought the group was named after a guy first name like Van. Hey, you know what? A lot of people in high school thought that Pink Floyd was a person. I had people coming into the record store thinking that Pink Floyd was a person.
Max Webster. For the longest time, I thought Max Webster was a guy.
Like,
Yeah.
what's the song with Mr. Gillian and Mr. Grover that made $1 million the night Frank Zappa caught fire?
Yeah, that's a Deep Purple song. That's the song MTV.
Mhm.
And yes, hang on a second. We have. Oh, by the way,
Which
which
one's
one's
fake?
fake? There you go. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's another one. And it's escaping my mind. But
Me
there's another
too.
one.
I'm
that
thinking
sounds
like I always said this guy as a singer, and people kept correcting me. Headley, but you know it's a more
That's
recent
one.
band, but yeah.
that's one. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, my number one is for the same album. No, it's not. I'm just
No,
kidding.
I've already we're going earlier.
It's just such a good album. I want to do it again. No, my number one, I went with Harrison. Same as Harrison. Ain't Talking About Love.
Nice.
Except I went with the studio version. My first time hearing Ain't Talking About Love was through the Live Without a Net Sammy Hagar live version. I loved it. There's something about that riff. It's a massive riff. Kind of reminds me of, I don't know, some of the stuff Paul Stanley was writing in the late 70s. It's just got a, man, it is such a banger.
Mhm.
And I think it's also one of the catchiest songs, one of the most immediately catchy songs on the album at the same time. Like you guys have picked some really heavy tunes, like I'm the One was picked, Atomic Punk was picked, was On Fire picked. Those are not necessarily catchy songs.
Yeah.
But and a lot of these songs were also picked in the comments too. Lee Aaron started out as the name of a band, so did Alice Cooper and Marilyn Manson for that matter.
Mhm.
Anyway, we've talked about Van Halen. This album has been mentioned, I don't know how many times tonight. 6? I don't know.
At least.
I think if there's anybody out there who's new to Van Halen, I think you have a pretty good idea where to start.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
It's crazy because this album was successful right away, and a lot back then it didn't happen a lot, right? You
No,
think about
you're right.
Queen, you think
Trying to
about
point. Yeah. I'm trying to point to the comment. Best debut
Oh my
album. Yeah.
gosh. You think about all these albums. Kiss, you know, the only came. When did it came popular? Like around Destroyer time, or was
Yeah,
it before-
Alive was kind of like their
Alive.
breakthrough, and then
Yeah.
Destroyer was kind of like the thing that cemented it.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you're right, 100% right. They had success right from the get-go on album Numero Uno. That was really terrible. I shouldn't even try to
Was that
speak other
Spanish?
languages. I don't know what that was. Anyway, that's my list. I had plenty of runners up, but most of them ended up on my my dream set list here. You know, songs like Mine All Mine was one that I consider a banger from OU812. And thank you, Chris, for watching. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chris Sarr, for your helpful emojis. Anyway, that was a great bunch of lists. I don't know how much free time you have, but
no hurry.
I don't know. Like I've just had a great time tonight. I had a fun time. Thank you, Roger, for watching. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Oh, caught us on the spot, but yeah.
I'm just trying to think of what tracks I took off of my top 10. There was DOA. There's Sunday Afternoon in the Park. Trying to think.
I'm gonna, while you do that, I'm gonna look for a file. Just bear with me. Do you remember? This is relevant. This is relevant to the episode. But do you remember a couple of weeks ago, T-Bone submitted an Ask Mike question from a certain Sammy Hagar?
Yes.
You guys remember? Okay, so I'm just going to look for that video clip, and I think we should run that because that's relevant to tonight. Okay, there it is. So just bear with me, okay? You guys go ahead.
Like talk amongst ourselves?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just going to take me a minute to download this and get it up.
So this album is actually a present from JEX. Do you remember? It was my birthday.
I forgot it. Or
JEX
Christmas. It might have been
that?
Christmas. It might have been Christmas.
Maybe, yeah. So we went to the food court in Moncton, New Brunswick, and he found 3 albums at Spin It, like back then. And he bought me 3 albums. He bought me Van Halen, and really cheap. I think he paid like $18 for like the whole set. But Van Halen, he bought me Gary Newman, Replicant. Wait, what is it called? It's like
it was Replicas by Two Boy Army.
Replicas, yes. And what was the other one? Do you remember?
I think that David Bowie, Let's Dance, maybe?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I think you paid $2 for that one. Like, I guess nobody wanted it or something.
That was before vinyl really made its comeback and the price started to rise.
And we took a picture, and all of the vinyls were like on top of my, on the bottom of my nose, and I was like that. And it's a pretty cool picture. We could share it later. And behind us, there was a guy. Yeah, you remember? A guy that looked identical to
Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to share the photo because you just see Pla with his 3 records. You only see his eyes. He's hidden behind the records. Food court going on behind him, and there's just this guy above his shoulder. It's Bronson. It is Bronson back from the grave. It is the trippiest thing, man.
Oh my gosh!
So if you can give me a link, I can put that video, that picture on screen. But this, Henry, at the very start of the show, that's actually how we started our Van Halen chat. Is we got into that video. So that is part of the show tonight. It was run at the start. Yes, I really like Mammoth. Wolf can play every instrument. He is a force to be reckoned with, and he's only going to get better. You know what? I listen to Balance, and there's not a lot of banging music on Balance. It's a lot more slow and even progressive in spots with songs like The Seventh Seal. But I wouldn't call Seventh Seal a banger. And we have more love for Wolfgang. And no problem, Henry. No problem. That's why YouTube exists. Okay, so... sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it can't be easy being Wolfgang. Can you imagine being the son of one of the greatest guitar players in the world? Everyone's going to compare you. The expectations must be unreal.
Well, I in fact, JEX, if I can plug some of Harrison and I, some of the work that we've done in the world of fiction, is that I've written a fictional story in the T-Bone Man universe about that very subject, about the pressure that poor Wolfgang gets from people who just want him to be the next Van Halen. Like, hey man, why don't you be the next Eddie Van Halen and just continue? Like, I wouldn't want to continue being my dad, the manager at the bank. But I wouldn't want that. Anyway. I want to run this video clip that we did a few weeks ago. This is T-Bone Erickson that submitted this. Oh, because there is some backstory. Oh shoot, hang on here. There is some backstory here. Sorry, go ahead.
Plus, send me the picture. So after that, the video.
Perfect. Yeah. Anyway, the backstory here is that I have had a history with Van Hagar that I've grown to love them more since even 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I did a show with T-Bone Erickson and Deke and some other folks, and I kind of trashed the 5150 album a little bit. And they're not going to let me forget that, ever. So T-Bone Erickson sent this.
Hey, Mike, the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar here. Hope you're having a great 1-year anniversary show. Now, I got a little bone to pick with you about the 5150 album. I know you kind of panned a couple years ago on an episode of your show. Your main problem with that album was lack of depth and creativity in my lyrics. And by contrast, you referred to David Lee Roth as a poet. Would you have preferred if I had put in something more like this? I mean, that is some kind of poetry. But all joking aside, Mike, I do have a question for you. Could you name me your 3 favorite Van Hagar era songs? And remember, only time will tell if we stand the test of time. Thanks for having me. Peace to you all. And to JEX, one love.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Chris P. Again, why would you expect Mammoth to play any Van Halen? Any. That's not what he's doing. He's playing his own solo music. And he gets so much hate. Wolfgang gets so much hate on Twitter, and it's quite sad. And his mom, too, Valerie Bertinelli, gets so much hate on Twitter. She gets called a bad mom and all kinds of stuff. I'm not joking.
Come
Yeah.
on.
It's horrible.
Okay. Is somebody washing dishes?
I don't know if it's in. I don't think it's in my house.
Oh, could be mine, actually. Let me mute that. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
No, it's okay. I was just wondering. Like,
I thought that we were, in a diner.
How do you mute?
Jex, do you have a way of sending me the link to that photo?
Already done, my friend. I sent it on Messenger.
Okay, Messenger. There it is. Jex Russell sends. Okay, so I'm going to put this up on the screen, and I should be able to share my screen. One moment, please. Yeah. Share screen.
It's like so easy to spot. The eye goes directly to Charles Bronson looking guy.
Okay, so there it is. Oh, and there's Bronson right over his shoulder there. Oh my God!
Right above the Van Halen debut, you see Charles Bronson. Like,
you know what? I'm getting a different. I'm getting a different vibe. I am getting Pedro Pascal with a bigger mustache. No, Bruno Gerussi from the Beachcombers. That's Bruno Gerussi.
I don't know who that is.
Look him up. It's Bruno Gerussi. He's a Canadian icon. That's a great picture.
Right?
Oh, that's awesome. Well, guys, I've had an awesome night. This was great. Pla, thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely have to get you back for either video games or music or something.
Yeah, I'm a big video game music buff. I even have actually the CD collection right there is all video game music. So yeah, I love that.
We need to introduce him to Rob.
Exactly. We have a guy in our cast of characters, Rob Daniels, who hosts a show that specializes in movie and video game soundtrack music.
Oh wow, I would love that, definitely.
Well, I believe he wants to participate. When we do that video game show, it's going to be a packed house because we got my sister, we got Marco. They all want to participate. Thank you again to everyone.
Sorry. Do you still have your radio show, which is all video game music?
Yeah, I have a local radio show also that video game music. I've got a big stack of vinyl also, video game vinyl.
Okay, so we obviously have to hook up some people here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always like to go around and catch up with everybody, what everybody's doing, promote their shit. Harrison, you are on Instagram as Harrison_1339. You posted some cool behind the scene photos from the Adventures of T-Bone Man this week. People, this guy's Lego art is really, really, really good. You've seen some of it already tonight. I recommend you give this guy a follow on Instagram. Amazing. Anything you want to say about that?
I think you're pretty much correct.
And would I also be correct in saying that right now your main creative outlet is in fact Lego art?
Pretty much.
There you go. So Harrison,
I write too, as you know.
Yes, but it's kind of 60-40.
Yeah, I'd say, I do a lot more of the art.
So that's Harrison_1339 on Instagram. Pla, you have your own YouTube channel, Pla Addiction, but I don't know if you're not really doing too much these days, are you?
No, Pla Addiction is, when I feel like talking about just vinyl collecting, what's it called? The VC, I think, the vinyl community and all of that. Right. I haven't been there in a while, but lately I've been more into streaming video games and stuff like that. Hence the gaming stuff.
Gotcha.
And that channel is Ninja Guy X. So just look it up on YouTube. I'm there. I do interviews with actually developers, video game developers. I do interviews sometimes. Sometimes I do first looks. Sometimes I do reviews. All this fun stuff. Yeah.
And what's it called? Ninja X? Did you say?
Ninja Guy X.
Ninja Guy X. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
If you send it to Mike, you can probably link it in the show review.
Yeah, I'll send it to Jex so Jex can send it to Mike. Yeah.
That's perfect. Yes. And jexcaliber.wordpress.com. You've been writing up a storm.
Yeah, well, I try to have a new story up every Friday, at least once a week is what I try. So got a story that dropped earlier today. I reviewed this guy that Mike sent me, Polychuck.
Yes.
Post. So you can find my review right down there at my blog. And yeah, pop culture stuff, music, movie reviews. So, and Deke and I, we actually shot a new Retro Throwdown yesterday, which I think we're not doing Saturday anymore. It's more of a sporadic thing. So I think he's going to drop it next Wednesday.
Okay.
And we'll be looking at Poisons, Open Up and Say Ah, going up against Cinderella, Long Cold Winter. And it was a fun show. So
two very different albums, very different vibes on those two albums.
But the common ground here is they're both from '88.
Yeah.
And they're
both the same genre.
And they're sophomore albums. They're both the second albums for both bands.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I have had a blast tonight. I think we are coming back next week, but I don't know if we have settled on a topic yet. Henry, which Harrison Cop is Harrison on Instagram? He is Harrison_1339. That's the easiest way to find him.
The profile is a Lego picture version of my face.
There you go. That's the one.
Just a bit scruffy.
Hey, soon. JEX on Instagram soon. I keep forgetting.
That's right.
I gotta open up an Instagram. Plaw's like,
yeah.
Never see you on Instagram, man. You gotta do something about that.
Yeah, you gotta do something about that.
There's a lot of Instagram exclusive Lego art I do, so you're missing out.
That's true.
I know.
That's true.
Oh, that's the main reason I want to sign up. No joke.
David Leroy once said, like, Jex is not on Instagram. Like, I guess I'm not going to meet up with him or anything.
That's exactly what happened. That is a true story.
Geez. Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, sorry.
David Leroy called me up. Like, Jex, you're not on Instagram.
Wow. Okay, so as you guys know, we always like to end the show on a song, and I'm just trying to choose a song because I feel like we need to have a banger. And if we're gonna have a banger, you know what, Harrison, do you think it's time that we play ODP again? We haven't played ODP.
Oh, I was thinking of Last Plane to Vegas. That's the name.
It's so long since we've played ODP. I think we got to play ODP. Have you guys ever heard? Jex, do you know ODP?
I know what it stands for.
Okay.
I know what it stands for. But I know we gotta tell.
No, no, we can't tell Pla. He'll leave.
He's gonna find out.
He'll find out in a minute. This is based on a true story, by the way. This is a song that is based on a true story. When my good buddy Uncle Meat came over, I was having a party at my house one night. We were playing Rock Band. Remember Rock Band? You guys remember Rock Band?
We played Rock Band together.
I was playing the drums. Jen was playing the bass. Uncle Meat was singing the lead vocals on a song called The Trees by Rush. There is unrest in the forest. There's trouble with the trees. Pardon me. I mean, that sounded like country. There's trouble with trees. and then he said, "Excuse me, I got to go take a leak." It's one of those moments in the party where everything just fell silent for a moment, and all you could hear were the sounds of an open door piss. And that, my friends, is what this song is about. ODP. This is T-Bone Erickson with ODP. Have a great night. Thanks, Jex. Thanks, Pla. Thanks, Harrison. Hope to see you again real soon. ODP, T-Bone Erickson. Have a great night. This is a banger.
not impressed. An open door pass. Did I mention I was a house guest? An open door pass. Heading out this evening to meet up with my boys. For a couple beers we'll make a little noise. Checked out the telly to find out what's the score. But the Patriots, they ain't no good no more. I threw that telly on the floor, then caught shit from the man. So I made a beeline straight for the can. Because when your evening starts like this, an open door pass. When Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, an open door pass. Hey, I almost never miss an open door pass. Everybody take a look at this, an open door pass. Don't care about your rules, don't live my life to please you fools. If you don't like it, turn the other way. That's what I say. Like Desmond Child writing songs with Kiss, an open door pass. Like 90s ballads from Aerosmith, an open door pass. When the Jays can't get no hits, an open door pass. When your socks they smell like this, an open door pass. When you just don't give a shit, an open door pass. I think you get the gist, an open door pass.
Welcome, Nighthawks. We've been expecting you. The hour's late, but the party is just getting started. I'm Alistair Kovacs, your host for a sophisticated little soiree with jazz, stimulating conversation, beautiful ladies, more jazz. Look, it's Charlie, sincerely one of the best white non-union jazz pianists in the entire city, top 5. Charlie, play some of those notes you know I like.
Time for a Richard Hudnut Extra. Here's Raymond Scott with a quintet in a dynamic version of his own composition, Powerhouse.